Spotsylvania School Superintendent Mark Taylor. Mark, thank you again for sitting down with us.
Ted, I'm excited to be here, and I really, really appreciate this forum and the opportunity to actually tell my whole story. I've given about an hour's worth of interviews. Well, that was how long they taped with major media, and that was cut down to next to nothing, and my story is in shreds on the cutting room floor. It's very different to be working with 12:30 a.m. and a great blessing to actually be able to put out my whole story, my whole truth. Because as I like to say, there is a truth that is true. So let's talk about it.
Anytime there's a new boss, at least in my situation, anytime you're dealing with a new boss, there's always a little bit of hesitancy or what's he got in mind. Talk to Spotsylvania teachers, school employees as the new boss gets ready to walk in.
Oh, thanks, Ted. I'm really excited to be able to do that, particularly because I think there are some rumors around, if I've heard it right secondhand, that I have some agenda that I'm coming with to disrupt and to eject people and to express and act on hostility against employees. And that's not me. The challenge in front of all of us is to provide the best possible public education for the children and for to serve the families of Spotsylvania County. And we can't do that by being disruptors. We already have a shortage in instructors. We already have challenges with having sufficient numbers of teachers and support personnel and bus drivers and other staff. And the last thing I want to do is be hostile. In fact, if you look at my history as an administrator, I've been exactly the opposite. Everywhere I've been as an administrator, I have found creative ways to bless the people that work under me, to advance them, to elevate them, to improve their salaries, get them bonuses. I want to make a better working culture and create better opportunity because, truth, the school division needs the best possible talent in order to fulfill its mission. And you don't get the best possible talent by creating an anxiety-filled, hostile work environment and paying people below market. We've got to be competitive. We've got to be realistic. So that's really what I'm about to the staff, and I want the staff to understand that my desire in relation to them is to be the best advocate that they've ever had. I want to help empower them and position them to do the very best job for the children that we're educating, for the families that we're serving, for the community that we loved.
With the teacher shortage that there is nationwide, do you have any ideas on what Spotsylvania can do to? You do come into this as in a unique position. Do you have any ideas of how Spotsylvania can look and gain new teachers?
Well, I think first of all, we have opportunity for improvement as an organizational culture. I think that with the shortage and with the demand for teaching talent and other talent in school divisions, serious people that are pursuing the good professions in public education are doing their homework. And they're doing things like watching school board meetings before they decide which division to sign on to. I think we need to work on our organizational culture. I think we need to work on our listening. I think we need to work on our positive engagement. We need to make room for the whole range of opinion, and we need to be better listeners, be engaged about the needs and priorities of the staff, and be about the business of finding creative solutions to help them forward. I want to engage with them, Ted. One of so in the selection process for the superintendent position, there were some surveys done in the community trying to identify priorities and goals and needs in this selection process. Mm-hmm. And a couple of the keys in that surveying that attracted my attention was the identifying needs for better engagement between the superintendent's office and the superintendent individually, and the staff's in the individual schools, not just at the principal and the AP and the central office level, but down into the classrooms to the teachers and the assistants and the other instructional staff and the support staff. And I am very interested in that engagement. I care about the staff at all levels. And personally, I have the experience of having learned valuable lessons, not just from the senior staff, the department directors, the mid-level managers, but I've learned powerful and useful things from the janitors and from the bus drivers and from the support staff. And I want to do that in the school division. I want to be open and listening and inclusive. I want to hear everybody's view. Similarly, there's also an issue of engagement with parents. And I'm not talking about through the PTOs or through other existing structures. I want to find ways to open doors of communication directly with parents who have children in the division and have concerns about the education that their children are receiving. I want to hear from them. I want to engage with them. I'm looking at creative ways to do that, whether it's through listening sessions at the various schools. I don't know yet, but we're working on crafting best possible avenues of communication, because I want to make that engagement work, and I want to be responsive to parent concerns, family needs, and student priorities.
So, Mark, as you get ready for your first budget early next year, how will you advise the school board in putting a budget together, since you have the interesting perspective of having been in the county administrator's seat and receiving the budget? What are some of the things that you would look for or would have liked to have seen school superintendents give you?
Well, I appreciate the question, Ted, because I have, in my career, I've actually seen budget presentations all over the state. Because I've worked in Fairfax up north, in Spotsylvania, in Accomack on the eastern shore, and in Greene over on the 29 corridor above Charlottesville. And the consistent practice I've seen is budget presentations that are more promotional than they are statistical. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very important for the governing body, as they're about the serious business of appropriating very large sums of money to public education. They really need the business case. And so I think it's important to bring them the data. I've seen all of my professional life budget presentations from school divisions with a lot of frankly, with a lot of picture content of happy children doing beautiful things in classroom settings. And those are wonderful pictures, and there is certainly a place for all of that. But when we're getting down to appropriating funds, I think the better argument, the better approach to presenting the case, and was trained as an advocate, I'm a lawyer, and the better way to present this case is to bring the data. Leave the pictures at home. Put forward the business case. Explain why this is important. We all, as a community, are already invested in the priority of public education. We all care. We all know that we're doing this for the children and for their future, and we want to do our very best. We all know that we're investing a serious amount of money per pupil in public education as a community. We want to know, I think the community needs to know, deserves to know, that we're determined to give them the best possible value for every dollar that they invest. That's what I want to do.
You excited about day one coming on November 1st?
Tremendously excited. Tremendously excited. In fact, I was over earlier today just to have a very quick, say a very quick hello to some of the key staff in the office, fill out a little paperwork with HR, try to be ready to begin the beginning. And it is exciting to meet everyone and to begin to get to know the staff a bit and to move toward this beginning.
there are a lot of issues we've already talked about. I mean, I know parents special ed parents are gravely concerned about some issues. And how do you prioritize some of these things as you walk into this position?
Well, first of all, I want to be very careful to remember my place as the servant of the elected school board. And their priorities, their guidance about priorities is critically important to me. From my own perspective, I know personally in the conversations that I will anticipate having with them, and that I've already had with them in the interview process, I am most concerned about safety in all of the school facilities, including central administration. And I think that, sadly, but it's a truth of today's world, we must be concerned about safety first. Second, I think that it's very important to work at engagement. I've talked a bit about my personal priority of engagement with parents and with school staff, but I think we also need to look at engagement structures with the division so that engagement can be institutionalized. It's not just about me as an individual, it's about the division as an institution. We need to have more voices involved, and that is a huge priority. I think that having broader conversations about inclusivity and listening are very, very important. I think that in today's world, there are many different perspectives, and I want everyone to be heard in both the modern or new or cutting edge, newly discovered perspectives, but also the traditional perspectives. There is a concern that I have that with the press of the modern culture, the next evolution of society, the next new thing coming tends to try to take center stage and be the bigger voice because it's new and it wants everyone to know what it is. And that's just human nature. But I think there must always be room at the table also for the rest of the culture and some of the older ideas, some of the longer established ideas that are equally legitimate parts of our society. Let's all do this together so that we can create a better future for the kids.